Hi, I'm Karen Collins. I'm a therapist, and today I want to share with you some ways that you can prioritize your well-being and manage your acute stress response. We will be learning what the acute stress response is, the triggers, and the signs of activation. We will also explore how to prevent and the benefits of preventing your acute stress response from being triggered at all. We will also explore additional opportunities to prioritize your well-being. Many people refer to the acute stress response as fight or flight, but the actual medical terminology is acute stress response. And I think that describes it best. So triggers can be anything perceived as a threat, real or imaginary, physical or psychological. The body's response is the sympathetic nervous system stimulating the adrenal glands to release hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline, and also cortisol. The benefits of this is that you're able to hyper-focus on the perceived threat, which is fantastic if it actually is a life or death threat. Like if a lion is chasing me, I'm definitely going to want to be able to hyper-focus on getting away from that lion. And the last thing I want to be doing is thinking about my taxes while I'm trying to survive a lion chase, right? The impact, though, is the hormones released when the acute stress response is triggered do not disappear once the immediate threat is gone. It may take hours up to 3 days for your body to return to the normal levels. This leaves your mind and body heightened and more likely to get stressed again over something that might normally not be upsetting. Why is this bad for you? The acute stress response causes wear and tear on the mind and body. This is preventable. The acute stress response can negatively impact all areas of your life: relationships, work, your mental health, your physical health. And without a period of reset, it can seem like everything is stressful or upsetting, and it just kind of gets into this pattern of reacting to things that you normally wouldn't negatively react to if you were calmer or feeling less activated. When couples get caught up in this pattern, they often fight over little things and feel overall less satisfied with their relationship. The signs: increased heart rate, increased blood pressure. You might have, your skin might get red or you might get pale. Usually happens in your face or neck. You'll likely feel your temperature increase. You might even sweat. You will be breathing heavier, possibly even shaking. And again, like I mentioned before, you will have that heightened focus on the perceived threat and really can't hear anything outside of that. Your pupils will be dilated. You will have tension in your body, and your blood vessels in your skin constrict. You will also have an increase in glucose and sodium retention and increased blood flow to your skeletal muscles. In addition, we often have stomach discomfort or upset. Often people recognize that with anxiety and stress in general. And many people, that's one of the first areas that they do feel the change in. So how can you protect and prioritize your well-being? Let me share an example with you. So I live in Southern Florida, and traffic here is pretty brutal. So I always like to use this example because almost all of us can relate to getting cut off in traffic, or some form of traffic tension. So let's say I'm driving down 95 and a large truck, maybe a pickup truck, cuts me off. And it can feel like, oh my gosh, he almost caused an accident, or he could have killed me. And so in that moment, my acute stress response might be triggered. If it is triggered, I'm probably going to fly up beside him, give him a piece of my mind. I'm probably going to be yelling, I may be cursing, and I may be gesturing to him to get my point across. But what I know about that is that me getting my point across is negatively impacting myself and, unfortunately, whoever else is in the car with me. They will also be experiencing, you can imagine, they're like, slow down, it's okay, it wasn't a big deal, whatever, right? But I can't hear that, I can't see that, because my acute stress response is triggered, and all I can think about is letting this guy know he almost killed me. So the additional thing that I know is he is not going to get in his car or truck the next day and say, you know what, that blonde in the white car really makes a good point. I do drive like a jerk, and I'm going to start driving better today. So he's not going to do that. So all of my energy that I spent to give him that feedback on his driving is not going to cause him to drive any less erratic or any better, right? So I know that it impacted me. And what I want to be able to do is, in that 1 to 3 seconds that I had to determine how I'm going to respond, is to catch that and say, wait a minute, my well-being is way more important than proving a point to this driver that cut me off. Because I don't want to give 3 days of my time, my energy, my well-being to that one incident. And so that being said, I am going to try to be very, very careful to not let incidents like that or things like that upset me. Like I mentioned, you have 1 to 3 seconds to catch the acute stress response before it goes off and running. And it's very, very hard to pull that back at that point. So in that 1 to 3 seconds, you're going to determine how you will respond. In that 1 to 3 seconds, you can quickly remind yourself that your well-being is more important than you fill in the blank, whatever is happening, whatever is, potentially going to set off your acute stress response. Because you have just listened to my example, your mind is already primed to understanding the relevance of that reminder that you're going to give yourself. And remember, it is, wait a minute, my well-being is more important than whatever is happening. In fact, your well-being is more important than most things that you will encounter today. There's very few things that we come upon on our daily lives or within our daily lives that, warrants anything like the severity of our acute stress response being triggered. There was a time and a place when that was helpful, but our world isn't filled, hopefully, in most situations, in most people's environments, is not filled with life-threatening danger. Managing the acute stress response is a skill that anyone can learn. The benefits to your health and overall well-being are immeasurable. Consider how your relationship would benefit if you were able to respond to your partner with calm, compassion, and understanding, instead of perceiving a discussion, a comment, or an experience with your partner as a threat to you. Don't forget that a perceived threat can trigger the acute stress response as easily as a real threat. Think of the potential opportunities during your day or week where you may successfully catch your acute stress response from being triggered. If you kind of look back through, there's probably many opportunities that you could use that 1 to 3 seconds to, no, not going to go there, or not letting that trigger, because I'm not going to give 3 days of my well-being to that. And I want to say too that let's say I get triggered on my acute stress response gets triggered. We'll use that driving example again. That happened, let's say, on Sunday. And then I'm still heightened on Monday, and somebody, a clerk or something, is rude to me. Normally that wouldn't get under my skin, but because I'm heightened from the traffic incident, it may cause me to respond back to her in some way that also is triggering. And then it's not 3 days from Sunday, it's now 3 days from Monday because I was just triggered again, or my acute stress response was just triggered again. So it can seem like, especially, if you look at it kind of like in a relationship situation, it can just seem like it's never ending. Like there's always something upsetting you or your partner. Without a 3-day break or a 3-day reboot, it's going to kind of continue to do that. So one of the things I recommend is taking 3 days and being extremely cautious and protective of yourself and not responding to anything. So you can get that 3-day reboot and kind of start fresh after, learning more about the acute stress response. Well, this is just one aspect of protecting your well-being. Making just a small shift can make a big difference. There is no life overhaul needed. Next, we will explore additional ideas that you can consider trying also. Additional things that you can consider doing to improve your well-being. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or otherwise known as CBT, is amazing to help change thought patterns and just get to a healthier perspective. Guided meditation, eating healthier, staying hydrated, exercising regularly, getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, spending time doing things that you enjoy doing, being in nature, being still, just simply still sometimes, and listening to your body and mind, reducing guilt, and also being kind to yourself. I like this picture and the message here. Fall in love with taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and allowing time to do that and realizing the relevance and the importance of that. So starting with cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT is a therapy approach that shifts thought patterns that can impact how you feel about something, in turn changing your response or behavior in a way that is beneficial to your mental health. So for example, if I think my relationship needs fixed, the word fixed may cause me to somewhat feel a certain way, like it's broken, like, we're not doing well at all, and I'm probably going to behave according to that and just kind of maybe be more distant, more protective. But if I were to think, there's some areas that I would like to grow in my relationship, or there's some areas that my partner and I can grow in our relationship. Totally different feeling. And that inspires me to seek out those opportunities and behave accordingly. So it's still working on things. It's still wanting things to improve, but it's from a perspective that is healthy and beneficial to me. Guided meditation. I highly recommend using the Calm app or a similar app that you can select a guided meditation that is geared towards your needs and goals. A few of my favorites on the Calm app are Relationship with Self series. It's like 10 to 13 different guided meditations that aren't very long, less than 15 minutes typically, but really are very helpful in learning to trust yourself and trust your journey, that sort of feeling. And non-judgment meditation, and also the Confidence series, all on the Calm app. I cannot highlight enough how sleeping well is critical to our well-being. This is when our body rejuvenates and our mind can rest and rejuvenate. You've probably seen on commercials where it's the time that our skin rejuvenates the most, and it is critical to stress reduction. good mental health and physical health. It just is imperative. And if your sleep is thrown off in any way, to where you're not getting that, or you're not feeling rested when you wake up, it is important to work with a therapist or figure out what is kind of your combination that helps your sleep get back on track. I have a series of things that work for me, but I had to try many things out to figure out, okay, what is my combo? I can be sleeping well for a while and no real explanation, my sleep gets off track. And then I reboot with the 2 or 3 things that work for me, because I realize how imperative it is. All right. And eat healthier and stay hydrated. Notice that I said eat healthier, not eat healthy. It's just a little shift that can make a big difference. And I'm not a fan of restricting food. I know for many of us, myself included, I enjoy food. I enjoy baking. I enjoy cooking. And I don't want to feel like I'm restricted, because I do feel like life is short and we should eat the cake, but I think we should also eat our vegetables. And I know everyone's heard kind of like eat what you want in moderation, however you want to approach it. But even if we just make a choice or two a day that's a little better, like grabbing an apple instead of making cookies. And I have to remind myself of that as well. It's a skill that we can develop over time. And also staying hydrated. I have learned the hard way of how important being hydrated is, and how important having water to every organ in your body is critical for optimal functioning. And exercise. Even if all you do is take a walk, whatever fitness level you're at, even if it's, just down the street to the mailbox, whatever, and add on to that. But do it regularly and set a goal that is doable for you. And pick something fun. If you hate running is not going to be something you're going to stick with. But what I found, I have always been a runner, and what I have found is that I get good exercise if I'm walking. I don't have to be running. If I walk consistently, it is also very, very effective, not only for my mind, but my body. Spend time doing things that you enjoy. I know that sometimes life gets so busy that you can forget what you used to do for fun. But having something fun to look forward to can give you a boost in your day. The fun itself is the bonus. But if you've ever been like working a stressful job, but let's say it's January, and in May you're taking a vacation to the beach. That vacation to the beach often is what keeps us going. And it's like, okay, I can handle all this stress because I'm going to be able to completely zone out when I go to the beach in May. So having something fun to do every day or every few days or on the weekend can feel kind of a very similar way to that, because it can be that reset, that thing we look forward to, that is ours, that is special to us, that can really make the difference along the way. And getting back to the basics, I think spending time in nature is one of the best ways to mentally reset. And I think, many people plan vacations to the beach or in nature for this exact reason. You can just get back to the basics. And I know for myself, anytime I went hiking, whatever problems or stressors I had heading into the woods always felt less heavy as I was exiting the woods. It's just for me, it's the smells, it's the feels, it's the air, it's everything that one experiences in a wooded environment or on the water, whatever your go-to is. But nature just seems to make it so basic to me. Like, the other things, maybe they're not as big of a deal as I was thinking before. They're still there. I still need to deal with them, but maybe not as heavy as I thought. All right. And also being still. Sometimes you may find that every moment of every day is filled, and you have little time to just sit and think or not think. But being still allows you to hear your own intuition and be truly present with and for yourself. Resting is a form of action. Most ideas come when our mind is at peace. In fact, some of my best ideas have happened when I've been on vacation. And that's not, surprising really, because that's, when I am most relaxed or used to be most relaxed. Now I live in paradise, so I don't really have to vacation to the beach, and I feel relaxed pretty much all the time. But another phrase that I think is helpful to kind of think of is doing nothing is doing something. I know a lot of times we can feel very guilty about taking time for ourselves or sitting still when the dishes need done, the laundry needs done, or the house could be cleaner, right? All right, and this goes right into my next slide, talking about how guilt reduces the benefits of doing things for ourselves. So if you can reduce any feelings of guilt that you may have for taking care of yourself or taking time for yourself, because we can often feel badly, like I had mentioned, about, oh, there's so much else that needs done, but I'm taking time away for myself. But if you're doing that, if you're feeling guilty, you're not getting the full benefit of the time and effort that you just devoted to yourself. And if this is difficult for you to kind of let go of that guilt and just kind of give yourself a free ticket to take care of yourself, I really recommend working with a cognitive behavioral therapist, because there's many ways that we can discuss how to perceive that differently and how to approach that differently, so it is more healthy for you. And then also being kind to yourself. Sometimes you may find that your expectations of yourself are far higher than what you expect of others. So I always encourage ensuring that your expectations or the expectations of yourself are reasonable. And offering yourself more grace, less judgment, more softness, and less criticism will help you feel a more peace and calm in your life. I always think, if I have higher expectations of myself, I ask the question, well, do I think I'm better than everyone else? If my expectations of myself are here and my expectations of other educated people in that area, I must think I'm better than everyone else. Well, obviously, I don't think I'm better than everyone else. So that gives me kind of a way to ground myself in thinking, okay, you know what? My expectations of myself need to be very similar to what I would expect of somebody else with my level of education, my level of experience, whatever, depending on what I'm comparing or what I'm expecting myself to do. All right, and prioritizing your well-being. Now that you have an understanding of what the acute stress response is, you can now recognize the triggers and the signs of activation, and recognizing that when it happens is a very good first step in prevention moving forward. It's kind of like we have to recognize what's happening so that we can shift the pattern to go a different direction. And then you can prevent your acute stress response from being triggered to enjoy the benefits of practicing this skill. And keep in mind, it will take practice. It is a skill, and almost all skills, if not all skills, take practice. And for me, it's maybe not catching it 100% of the time, but catching it many times, the majority of the time, is very, very helpful. You're going to see huge benefits from reacting less, even if it's not 100% of the time. And then you can choose the additional opportunities that we went over that can help you prioritize your well-being and kind of put yourself, if not at the top of the list, at least at the top of the list, tied with other things that are highly important to you. So I would like you to think about, what is one small shift that you will make today? And I really want it to be something that you know you can stick with. because that is positive, encouraging, and helpful. If I were to say, you know what, I'm going to start running 6 days a week, 5 miles a day, that's not a small shift, and it's probably not going to be doable long term. But if I were to say, I'm going to walk a mile every day, and I know exactly where I'm going to go and what time of day I'm going to do it, that is doable. So just keeping your expectations and your shifts realistic and doable. Well, that is all that I wanted to cover today. If you would like to get a hold of me, my information is listed on this slide. And I wish everybody a great and healthy upcoming week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by email, or you can call or text me as well. And I wish you the best. Be well.